Welcome to Business Book Daily. Today I'm breaking down Go for No by Richard Fenton and Andrea Waltz, a book about changing how you think about rejection so you can take more useful action, learn faster, and create more opportunities to succeed. I'll cover the big idea, the practical business lesson, and 3 sharp insights you can use right away. Let's get into it. But first, a word from our sponsor. Want to sell more without adding fixed payroll? A lot of smart operators hire commission-only reps, experienced sellers who get paid only when they produce results. If that sounds like a smarter way to scale, post your opportunity at commissiononly.com. Thousands of motivated reps are actively looking for performance-based roles right now. commissiononly.com. Today's book is Go for No. Richard Fenton and Andrea Waltz are sales authors and speakers who teach professionals how to become more comfortable with rejection and persistent action. The central idea is that success often requires hearing more rejections, not avoiding them. Every serious sales goal includes unanswered messages, declined offers, lost proposals, and prospects who aren't ready. Those outcomes aren't unusual failures that sit outside the sales process. They're part of the process. That's what makes this book useful. It challenges the belief that hearing no means something has gone wrong. When people stop treating rejection as a personal failure, they take more useful action. They contact more qualified prospects. They ask clearer questions. They follow up more consistently. They make direct offers instead of hiding behind vague language. More qualified attempts create more conversations. More conversations create more information. And more information helps people improve their offer, message, targeting, and sales process. The practical lesson is simple. Most people stop too early because they're trying to avoid rejection. Salesperson may contact only the safest prospects because they don't want to hear no. They may lower the price before anyone objects. They may avoid asking for the sale because they don't want to create an uncomfortable moment. They may stop following up after one unanswered message. These choices protect the salesperson from discomfort, but they also reduce the number of real opportunities available. The person feels safer, but the pipeline gets smaller. That matters because sales results are never fully under your control. You can't force a customer to buy. You can't control their budget, timing, priorities, internal politics, or decision process. What you can control is how many qualified people you contact, how well you prepare, how clearly you explain the value, how directly you ask for a decision, and how quickly you learn from each response. That's where the book asks you to focus. One of its biggest ideas is that no is part of the path to yes. Imagine that 10 qualified prospects need to hear an offer before 2 decide to buy. The 8 rejections aren't proof that the sales process failed. They're part of the process that produced the 2 sales. That doesn't mean every rejection is good. If the offer is poorly targeted, the message is confusing, or the product doesn't solve a real problem, more rejection may simply confirm that something needs to change. But when the prospect is qualified and the offer is reasonable, hearing no can be evidence that the salesperson is making enough real attempts. This changes how rejection is measured. Instead of asking, how do I avoid no, ask, how many qualified decisions do I need to create enough yeses? That question leads to better sales math and better behavior. Another major idea is to set activity goals, not only outcome goals. Revenue and closed deals matter. Every business needs results. Salespeople can't control those results completely. They can control actions that make results more likely. They can control calls made, decision makers contacted, discovery conversations held, proposals sent, referral requests delivered, follow-ups completed, and direct asks made. Tracking those actions gives people a productive target before the final result arrives. Salesperson with a monthly revenue target may feel stuck because revenue is a lagging result. But if they know how many qualified conversations usually lead to a proposal and how many proposals usually lead to a sale, they can build a practical plan. That plan turns a vague goal into specific actions. The book also introduces the idea of a no goal. No goal means deliberately tracking qualified rejections. A salesperson might aim to receive 5 or 10 qualified no's during a week. The purpose isn't to make bad offers, contact poor fit prospects, or create rejection on purpose. The purpose is to stop avoiding worthwhile opportunities simply because the answer might be no. That distinction matters. No goal should increase thoughtful attempts, not reckless volume. If the team starts contacting people who clearly aren't a fit, sending careless messages, or pushing after someone has declined, the goal has been misunderstood. The target is qualified rejection. That means the offer reached someone who might reasonably benefit. the salesperson communicated it clearly, and the customer made an informed decision. Another important lesson is separating rejection from identity. A prospect may reject the timing, price, format, priority, features, risk, or current offer. That isn't the same as rejecting the salesperson as a person. When people connect every no to their identity, sales becomes emotionally exhausting. One lost proposal feels like proof that they're bad at selling. One unanswered message feels disrespectful. One objection feels like an attack. That emotional weight makes people hesitate. But when rejection is treated as information, it becomes easier to study. Maybe the prospect had no budget. Maybe the problem wasn't urgent. Maybe the offer wasn't explained clearly. Maybe another person controlled the decision. Maybe the customer liked the service but wasn't ready. Each answer tells you something different. Treating rejection as data doesn't mean becoming cold or pretending disappointment doesn't exist. It means refusing to turn a business outcome into a judgment about your personal worth. The book's message also needs an important limit. Ethical persistence requires qualification. Going for no doesn't mean pressuring people until they surrender. It doesn't mean ignoring boundaries, refusing to accept an answer, or contacting someone endlessly. Strong selling still requires fit, respect, and good judgment. Useful no comes from making a clear offer to someone who may genuinely benefit, listening to their answer, and accepting the decision when the opportunity isn't right. Persistence is not the same as pressure. Persistence means continuing to create qualified opportunities. Pressure means trying to wear down someone who has already made a clear decision. The first can build a business. The second can damage trust and reputation. So how do you apply these ideas? Start by defining a qualified attempt. Don't reward salespeople for contacting anyone with an email address. Decide what makes a prospect worth pursuing. That might include industry, company size, job role, current problem, budget, location, technology, timing, or a known need. The clearer the qualification rules, the more useful your rejection data becomes. If most of the no's come from people who never needed the offer, the problem isn't fear, it's targeting. Next, identify the sales actions your team can control. Choose a small number of activities closely connected to revenue. These might include qualified conversations, discovery calls, product demonstrations, proposals, renewal discussions, referral requests, or scheduled follow-ups. Avoid tracking activity only because it's easy to count. 100 careless emails may be less valuable than 10 thoughtful conversations with well-matched buyers. The metrics should represent meaningful action. Set activity targets alongside revenue goals. A salesperson may have a monthly sales target, but they should also know the level of activity usually required to reach it. 5 sales normally require 20 proposals, and 20 proposals require 100 qualified conversations. That becomes a starting model. The numbers won't predict every month perfectly, but they make the sales process easier to manage. Instead of telling someone to sell more, you can examine where the pipeline is breaking. Are there too few qualified conversations? Are conversations failing to become proposals? Are proposals failing to close? Each problem requires a different response. Calculate your current conversion rates. Look at how many qualified conversations lead to proposals and how many proposals lead to sales. Also track the time between stages. Team may discover that it doesn't have a closing problem. It has a follow-up problem. Or it may discover that the sales team is generating many proposals for poorly qualified prospects. Conversion rates help separate effort from effectiveness. Then test a no goal for a limited period. Ask each salesperson to collect a small number of qualified rejections during the week. Make the rules clear. Poor targeting doesn't count. Aggressive behavior doesn't count. Careless pitches don't count. The goal is to increase the number of thoughtful opportunities pursued. At the end of the test, review what happened. Did people make more direct asks? Did the pipeline grow? Did they discover new objections? Did they reach prospects they would normally have avoided? Did they become more comfortable with clear decisions? That's the real value of the exercise. Track the reasons behind every no. Common reasons may include price, timing, weak fit, lack of authority, missing features, unclear value, competing priorities, satisfaction with an existing provider, or fear of change. Group those reasons and review them regularly. One rejection may not mean much. A repeated pattern does. If many qualified buyers say the value is unclear, the message may need work. If they say the timing is wrong, the follow-up process may need work. If they say a key feature is missing, the product team may need to investigate. Rejection becomes valuable when the company learns from it. Teach salespeople to ask for a clear decision. Many sales conversations end with vague language because the seller is afraid of hearing no. They say, let me know what you think, or I'll check back sometime, when what they really need is clarity. Respectful questions such as, would you like to move forward? Helps both sides. Gives the customer a chance to decide, and it prevents weak opportunities from sitting in the pipeline forever. A clear no is often more useful than a vague maybe. Build a follow-up system. Not every no means never. Sometimes it means not now. Record the reason for the decision. Agree on a next step when appropriate. Set a date. Keep notes about what needs to change before the conversation becomes useful again. Good follow-up is relevant and organized. Random messages that repeat the same pitch aren't persistence. They're noise. Set a stopping rule as well. Decide how many unanswered contacts are reasonable and what happens after a clear decline. Respectful process protects the prospect's time and the company's reputation. Attempts should never mean ignoring boundaries. View rejected proposals without blame. Ask whether the prospect was qualified. Ask whether the value was explained clearly. Ask whether the right decision maker was involved. Ask what objection appeared and what the team learned. The goal isn't to embarrass the salesperson. The goal is to improve the next attempt. Lost proposal becomes wasted only when nobody studies it. Practice rejection before the stakes are high. Use role-playing to rehearse common objections. Practice price concerns, timing problems, competitor comparisons, requests for discounts, and questions about risk. When salespeople have already heard difficult responses in practice, they're less likely to panic during real conversations. They can listen, ask better questions, and respond without becoming defensive. Reward disciplined action, not reckless volume. Salesperson who sends hundreds of poor messages may collect plenty of rejections without creating any value. Recognize preparation, thoughtful targeting, useful conversations, strong follow-up, and lessons that help the whole team. The goal isn't simply more no's. It's more qualified decisions and more learning. Watch for premature discounting. Fear of rejection often causes sellers to lower the price or add extras before the customer has objected. That weakens margins and teaches the buyer that the first offer wasn't real. Train the team to explain the value clearly, ask questions, and wait for the prospect's actual response before changing the offer. Don't negotiate against yourself. Make rejection emotionally normal. Leaders often celebrate closed deals while treating lost opportunities like personal failures. That creates fear. A healthy pipeline includes wins, losses, delays, disqualifications, and prospects who choose another path. Discuss all of them openly. The goal isn't to pretend losses don't matter. It's to understand that a serious sales process produces a range of outcomes. Use no to improve strategy. If qualified prospects reject the same part of the offer repeatedly, don't respond only by increasing activity. Visit the product, price, message, guarantee, target audience, or buying process. Persistence should produce learning. Repeating the same weak approach forever isn't resilience. It's refusal to adapt. Finally, protect the customer relationship. Respectful no today can become a future sale, referral, or useful source of market information. Thank prospects for giving a clear answer. Leave the door open when it makes sense. Avoid damaging trust by pushing after the decision has been made. A good salesperson understands that the relationship can remain valuable even when the immediate answer is no. Here are 3 insights worth sharing. First, rejection isn't the opposite of sales success. In a qualified pipeline, it's evidence that enough real offers are being made to create meaningful results. Second, revenue is an outcome, but asking is an action. Strong sales teams measure both, so fear of rejection can't quietly shrink the pipeline. Third, a useful no gives you clarity, data, and time to pursue a better opportunity. The most expensive answer in sales is often a vague maybe that never moves. Today's closing sponsor is memoirghostwriting.com. Many of the best business books start as ideas leaders have been refining for years. Memoirghostwriting.com works with founders, executives, and industry experts to turn those ideas into polished business books that build authority, attract leads, and open doors. They handle everything from interviews to writing to editing to publishing. If there's a book in your head that should already be helping your business, learn more at memoirghostwriting.com. That's it for today. See you next time.